Right then, and asking that we'll start, and I'm going to ask if you mute your lines until your turn to speak, so we don't have any clutter and noise in the background. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is August 9th, 2020. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in Albany with members participating remotely. We have on the phone Chairman Bradley.
Yes, I'm here.
We also have on the phone and partial video Commissioner Ford.
I'm here.
And we have Commissioner Fan on video. We have General Counsel Meyerhoff on video. We have Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts on the phone.
I'm here, Tom.
And myself, Secretary Donahue, here in the Albany office. All right, we have 7 items on today's calendar. I just note for the members, one of the items you have in your collection was taken off, and when we get there, we're just going to renumber the items. When we get there, I'll let you know. All right, the first item I have, and these are all requests from Council's Office for emergency summary orders of suspension. First item is 929 III. It's Queens OP 127-4051. The licensee is Pyramids Hookah and Bar LLC. Mike, if that's you, you're muted.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Michael Amarato for the Office of Counsel, making a request for an emergency order suspension pursuant to 401 subsection 3 of SAPA in connection with the licensed enterprise, which is located at 40-19 Bell Boulevard in Bayside, Queens. The license was issued on May 22nd, 2014. Just last night, on August 8th at 10:30 p.m., task force investigators observed approximately 12 patrons standing and congregating in front of the establishment while they were consuming beverages. They were smoking hookah, they were not socially distanced, and they were not wearing face masks as well. They were in violation of 202.38, 202.43, failure to supervise, and SLA guidance as well. To date, prior to this action, the licensee has paid $42,000 in civil penalties on past cases. In 2019, there was a sale to minor for $10,000 that also included allegations of purchasing from unauthorized source, and an earlier sale to minor in 2018, a noise violation in 2017, purchasing from unauthorized source again for $20,000. So they've paid up to $42,000 in civil penalties, and there's currently a sale to minor case pending as well. So this licensee obviously is creating imminent risk to the safety, health, and welfare of the public by violating the ABCL laws and restrictions on the EOs, and the EOs themselves are putting the public in harm. And therefore, we're requesting the license be summarily suspended. Thank you.
Okay, then, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Yes, Michael, when was this place licensed?
May 22nd, 2014.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then, Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
All right, then, with that, I'll call for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
This licensee has a long history with our authority, and so really should know better than to continue to run his business outside of the lines against ABC laws and the governor's COVID-related executive orders. He's violated the executive orders by allowing groups of people gathering outside his restaurant, smoking hookahs with no face masks, and therefore creating a public health challenge for people who are living in the area and walking by the establishment. And due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
There were approximately 12 patrons standing and congregating, consuming, smoking hookah with no face mask and ignoring social distancing guidelines. So this place does have quite the history, as Commissioner Fan has stated. So I vote to summarily suspend.
Chairman Bradley.
This licensee has a long history with the agency, most of which is for lack of supervision. Clearly, based on the pictures and the description, there was a lack of supervision last night, and in this day and age, a lack of supervision at a licensed premise is an imminent threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. So I vote to summarily suspend.
Okay, then the next item is 929JJJ. It's Queens RW 1145413. The licensee is Cafe Espresso Ltd.
Good afternoon again, members of the board. Council's office is respectfully requesting an emergency order suspension pursuant to 401, Section 3 of SAPA in connection with Cafe Espresso, which is located on Steinway Street, 25-51 Steinway Street, and that's in Astoria. On August 7th at 45, the investigators they observed 15 patrons congregating on the sidewalk in front of the premises. They were not social. Most of them were not wearing masks. The licensee had chairs outside, but he did not have tables. And the manager who was working there at the time, was not wearing a face mask as well. With the fact that there were no tables outside, we could speculate that they also were not serving food. And therefore, they are in violation of the Executive Order 20238, 20243, 202.16, and a failure to supervise. As a result of being in violation of the EOs and allowing these people to congregate in front of the premises, we respectfully request that the emergency order of suspension be granted. Thank you.
Okay, then Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
Council, if you look at the pictures that were sent to us, there is a woman sitting with headscarf down, but that is actually a different establishment, right? That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the people that are sitting behind them.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Tom. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley.
I have no questions. Thanks.
All right, then I'm going to call for your votes. Commissioner Fan.
Licensee has created a public health challenge by allowing multiple patrons standing with no mask and not socially distancing. The owner himself is continuing to operate his business with no mask on, and he's not supervising his employees accordingly. If he's not providing tables outside, he's not providing an outdoor dining experience as required by the governor's executive order. And due to his clear disregard for these executive orders and creating an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
As stated by Commissioner Fan, I mean, there's approximately 15 patrons standing and consuming with no face masks outside and ignoring social distancing rules. Chairs, 10 chairs, but no tables, and supposedly an outdoor dining area. And employees noted as not having face masks either. So I think it's pretty obvious that they're not following the rules, and I vote to summarily suspend.
And Chairman Bradley.
I vote to summarily suspend on both commissioners, based on both commissioners' reasoning. It's obvious this is a public threat to the, a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then. The next item I have is 929KKK. It's New York OP 1248128. It's Lucky 7 Restaurant and Bar, LLC.
Good afternoon, members. again, Michael Amarato for the Office of Counsel. Request summary suspension be ordered in connection with the Lucky 7 Restaurant and Bar, which is located at 1447 St. Nicholas Avenue in New York City. The license was issued on July 12th of 2011. This establishment has been a focal point for police attention, has also been found to be creating a pattern of noise and disorder in the community. And just last night, on August 8th, at approximately 10:20 p.m., the task force investigators observed 15 patrons standing and consuming beverages on the sidewalk in front of the premises. The manager admittedly stated that he could not control his patrons. 5 employees were not wearing masks. There was unlicensed security guard, unsecured compressed gas tanks, and fire extinguisher violations. They were found allegedly to be in violation of 202.38, 202.43, 202.16, and other SLA violations as well. To date, this establishment has paid $53,000 in civil penalties. And this is in connection with 2 prior cases. One case in 2018, they paid $50,000 for 4 charges of disorderly premises, for being a focal point for police attention and a sustained pattern of noise and disorder. In 2019, they paid a $3,000 penalty for failure to conform to the application for security guards, and they had a manager who was not disclosed to the SLA. They also have an open case for an unauthorized trade name, failure to comply with local regs for not having a hookah permit, failure to conform to the application for the same charges again and again, for having security guards, for hiring a manager, and for being over the occupancy limit. This licensee clearly cannot be trusted and is creating an imminent risk to the safety, health, and welfare of the employees, the patrons, and the residents. And we respectfully request that emergency order of suspension be directed pursuant to 401 subsection 3 of SAPA. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Yes, Counselor, the $50,000 penalty that they paid in 2018, that was for hookah, you said, and focal point?
There were 4 charges for disorderly premises, books and records, blocked exits, a focal point, and a sustained pattern of noise disorder. And that was case number 128957. It had additional charges as well, but those were the most egregious, I would say. It had 16 charges that were led.
Thank you.
Yeah, the hookah charge is an open charge that we haven't yet gone to hearing on. The prior one.
Got it. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley?
Mike, was there hookah found last night as well?
Yes.
Is that yes? I didn't hear you.
I don't recall seeing that in the report.
In the pictures, if they were showing, yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay. All right, thanks. That's it.
All right, I'm going to call for your votes. Commissioner Fan?
This licensee is habitually operating his operation outside of the legal boundaries. They have already paid $53,000 in civil penalties, and due to a sustained pattern of noise and focal point for police, this location continues to be a waste of our valuable investigative resource as the establishment continued to play extremely loud music, creating a nightclub atmosphere, using flashing lights to attract crowds to linger and congregate. However, the manager is arguing that he cannot control the crowd. I suppose, stopping the nightclub atmosphere may help him in this respect, given the continued violation of the governor's executive orders relating to face masks and lack of social distancing and patrons standing in front of the establishment. this licensee continue to create an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
All right, Commissioner Ford.
Employees were noted as not wearing face masks, approximately 15 patrons standing, consuming, not adhering to social distancing protocols. And the manager states he cannot control them, yet he's blasting loud music and flashing lights to attract them. It just doesn't add up. Several employees were noted not wearing masks. No New York Forward reopening plan available for inspection. There was a hookah cooker. So I assume that means that hookah was there. Unlicensed security guard, unsecured compressed gas tank, and obstructed fire extinguisher, and another one not inspected. So I think this place is clearly operating against the public health, safety, and welfare, and I vote to summarily suspend.
Chairman Bradley.
It's obvious this licensee has no intention of following the governor's executive orders, and by his own words, doesn't have the ability to do it. That makes him, by his own words, a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. So I vote to summarily suspend.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
The next item you have, Commissioners and Chairman, has been taken off. So we're going to move to what you have as 929 MMM, which we're going to renumber as LLL. And it is Queens RL 1040943, Bohemian Citizens Benevolent Society of Astoria, Long Island, Inc.
Alex Lloyd for Council's Office. Council's Office submits the subject licensee, Bohemian Citizens Benevolent Society of Astoria, Long Island, located at 2919 24th Avenue, Long Island City, New York, to the members of the authority to consider an emergency order of summary suspension of its retail on-premises liquor license pursuant to Section 4013 of the State Administrative Procedure Act. This license was issued to the licensee on December 22nd, 1936. It is licensed to operate as a restaurant. Its licensed premises includes a large outside area with numerous picnic tables. The licensee has 4 principals and is located in a mixed-use area. Regarding the visit, last night, August 8, 2020, at approximately 6:30, Executive Order Task Force investigators visited the licensed premises. When they visited at 6:30, they observed patrons standing, socializing, consuming alcoholic beverages, not wearing face masks, and not social distancing. They explicitly warned the manager that that was unacceptable, and they stated that they would be back later that night to observe how he remedied the problem. When they followed up at 8:30 that same night, last night, nothing had changed. They explicitly observed 20 patrons indoors waiting in line to order drinks at the indoor bar, and 3 patrons consuming their drinks at the bar indoors. They also again observed numerous patrons outdoors standing, consuming alcoholic beverages, not social distancing, and not wearing their face masks. Of course, at this time, they explicitly told him, again, this is absolutely unacceptable. You can't be doing any of these things. The outdoor violations are violations of EO 202.38. Everyone needs to be sitting when they're consuming their beverages, and you can't have any consumption inside the premises, 202.3. The manager claimed that the compliance was impossible. I think that's unacceptable. If the licensee can't control its patrons or is unwilling to take actions that are in compliance with the executive orders, that just demonstrates how much of a health risk this location is. This experience is clearly not the type of dining experience intended to be permitted under the executive orders 202.3 and 202.38, which require the patrons not stand around and socialize and disregard social distancing and mask rules in outdoor areas, and explicitly prohibit indoor service. The governor has been clear that at this time, the executive orders are meant to allow restaurants to serve food and beverages outdoors to seated customers and to-go customers only. The executive orders were designed to prevent the spread of COVID-19, a deadly virus, and this licensee clearly cannot be trusted to follow the law. At this time, permitting the patrons to drink, socialize, and disregard social distancing and mask rules outside and inside is the exact type of behavior that increases the likelihood of the spread of COVID-19. And this behavior puts patrons, employees, and community members in danger, thus presenting an imminent risk to the public health, safety, and welfare. Therefore, council's office respectfully requests that the members summarily suspend this license.
All right, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, sir, I have no questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley?
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, then we'll call for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
This licensee was warned earlier in the evening and continued to operate illegally yesterday and have committed multiple violations of the governor's executive order by allowing indoor service, allowing alcohol service with lack of food, and open containers and customers standing around with no social distancing. This location is a cleared imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
All right, Commissioner Ford.
Well, they violated Executive Order 202.3 regarding service inside the premises, 202.38 regarding outside service and social distancing, sale of alcohol to go without food and open containers, so forth. The investigators who were there at 6:30 witnessed the situation, spoke to the GM, counseled them to comply. They even advised them they'd return in a few hours, and when they came back, the same GM told them it's impossible to comply. So a patron was witnessed being served at the bar who was so visibly intoxicated he could barely stand, and others were coming to the bar ordering and consuming shots. So when they came back for the third time, several persons across the street were drinking from open containers, which they said they got from the licensed premises with no food earlier. So it's clearly, even after being advised, after being trying to be helped to conduct business properly, there still was no intention. So obviously, this license should be summarily suspended, and that's my vote.
Chairman Bradley.
Just to be clear, it's not impossible to comply. I go out regularly in New York City and I see hundreds of licensees complying. It's impossible to comply when you run a business in the manner that this licensee is running his business, which shows no interest in trying to comply. And the pictures and the description basically tell the entire story that this licensee is clearly a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. So I'm voting to summarily suspend.
All right, thank you. The next item we have, which is now 929 MMM, is New York OP 1176319. Licensee is La Casa del Mofongo, Inc.
Thank you, members of the authority. Good afternoon. As Secretary Donahue noted, by the way, this is Robert Buckley for the Zone 1 Council Office. As Secretary Donahue noted, these matters are submitted to the board for emergency or summary suspension. A notice of pleading with an accidental revocation will be promptly brought against La Casa del Mofongo at 1451 St. Nicholas Avenue, which is in the Washington Heights area of Manhattan. It is a restaurant that was a license issued July 12, 2006. With actually a 24-hour, 7-day restaurant, as indicated in the method of operation. The two principals are both named Cabrera. Investigator Stravali with the task force was there just last night, Saturday, August 8th, 2020, from approximately 10:52 p.m. to approximately 11:10 p.m. Investigator Stravali in his report indicates that there were at least 20 people outside the location, consuming alcohol beverages, congregating, not exercising, social distancing, as well as there was loud music coming from the location, which tends to crowd people together so they can speak to each other more closely, as well as it attracts persons to come to this location. Investigator Stravali also notes there's at least 4 employees not wearing masks, 3 male kitchen workers, and 1 manager, presumably Stephen Almanzar, the manager. As well, there were several other patrons who were not wearing masks, as well as Investigator Stravali notes there were approximately 14 people, and just maybe coincidentally, they all appear to be females who are waiting online. Again, none apparently have masks on. They're apparently not social distancing, waiting for a table. The Executive Order 202.3 prohibited any dining at locations, it was at any licensed premises, was modified with 202.38 to allow outdoor dining, and the mayor's open restaurant program allowed, again, outdoor areas used for dining, but seating would be to be stopped at 11 p.m. Investigator Stravali notes that these people apparently waited for tables, and in the photographs he submits to his report, some of them were time-stamped about 10:58 p.m., which shows a kitchen apparently in full use, which would tend to indicate that this premises was intending to continue to operate for dining past the 11 o'clock restriction, because people have to sit, and then people can't sit until past 11 p.m. in the city of New York. Investigator Stravali also notes, as the chairman noted last Friday, this is a concern. There was nicotine hookah, the hookah station where the hookah, I believe is what's called cooked or prepared, was in a basement, no ventilation. Investigator Stravali also continues that an office was locked, so he could not inspect that area. Books and records were not furnished to him. A emergency exit sign in the basement was improperly illuminated. There were compressed gas tanks which were not secured, which they could be damaged or dislodged and cause a hazard, as well as a fire extinguisher not inspected since January of 2020. The licensee has no particular, no adverse history, no adjudicated adverse history, but again, there's all the executive orders, which I noted, were all violated, as well as 202.16, where the employees were not wearing face masks. So for all those bases, the licensee apparently has no regard for the executive orders that have been implemented by the governor and the mayor's executive order, and council's office requests an emergency order be issued against this license, suspending its license immediately.
All right then, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions? I'm sorry, I think you're muted, Commissioner Fan.
Sorry, I don't have any questions.
Okay then, Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Counselor, did you mention that there was hookah on site? I don't see it in the report. Oh, yes, a hookah cooking station. Yes, I do. I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right. Yep, never mind. Thank you. I answered my own question. Thank you.
All right then, Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right then, we're going to call for your votes. Commissioner Fan first.
This licensee has committed multiple violations of the governor's executive order, as council outlined, by essentially, running a business with a very relaxed atmosphere. Employees are not wearing masks. Patrons are standing around with no masks. Loud music is playing. Curfew is not being respected. And that's exactly not what the governor's executive orders are about. And this licensee also have other fire safety issues. And because of his decision to clearly disregard the authority, ABC laws, and the governor's executive orders, I'm voting to summarily suspend this license due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and danger and welfare.
And Commissioner Ford.
And just to add to what Commissioner Fan has stated, there was no hookah permit there, no New York Forward plan on site. lack of access to inspect business records, a defective exit sign, a compressed gas tank that wasn't secured, and a fire extinguisher that wasn't inspected. So this place is clearly a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and I vote to summarily suspend.
Okay, then Chairman Bradley, your vote.
I vote to summarily suspend. This is clearly a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare based on the other commissioners' summary.
All right, thank you. The next item I have, which is now 929NNN, you have it as 000, is New York OP 1304609, Galmac LLC.
Thank you, Robert Buckley for Zone 1 Counsel's Office. The license so noted as a DBA registered with the authority as the Harry Lemon. The location is 28-30 Avenue B in New York, in the area that's known as Alphabet City, commonly, or East Village. And then last night on, by the way, the license was issued on November 21st, 2017, as a tavern. One of the principals is a Glenn Galvin. On August 8th, 2020, last night about 7:15 p.m., an executive order task force visited the location. Investigator Steve Benino has issued a report that's under 146608 case number, and a revocation proceeding will be brought promptly against this licensee. Investigator Benino indicates that at about 7:15 p.m., he observed an outdoor area. The photographs indicate that there were people sitting at this outdoor area, two of whom were standing up and consuming alcohol beverages and appear to be in conversation, close conversation with other persons. Apparently, Mr. Galvin, one of the members, LLC members, was on site, and Mr. Galvin explained there was some issue about having seating at the location. There was another table that the investigators noted of 5 customers, which had drinks but no food. They asked Mr. Galvin to produce a receipt, and they produced a receipt indicating that 7 drinks had been served to that table of 5 persons and 1 order of, quote, fries to go. But in reality, the fries turned out to be a complimentary food item that Mr. Galvin explained that he was serving in order to, quote, comply with the guidelines. That they're given free with drinks, and that not to go, but to comply apparently with the food order. The premises did have apparently a menu outside, which had a few food items apparently for sale, but does not conform with what's submitted with the application. Even though it's a tavern, they did submit an application indicating there would be entrees, salads, sandwiches, etc. So the customers seated outside, apparently very few, if any, were wearing masks. Those 2 persons in particular standing up were not wearing masks. That's in violation of executive orders of the governor 202.38 and 202.43, which requires monitoring of social distancing and face covering, as well as it did not appear that this table that the investigators noted a legitimate food item was not served in conjunction with the drink orders. As well, on June 20th, and again, a notice of pleading will be presented promptly for that August 8th violation, violations, as well as another violation will include that notice. There was an executive order task force that visited the location on June 27, 2020, 8:20 p.m., and 2 bartenders were observed to be not wearing face coverings while they were serving patrons. Executive Order 202.16 requires employees to wear face coverings. So again, Counsel's Office submits this matter to the members for contemplation of emergency order or summary suspension of the license.
Yeah, Gary Meyerhoff here. Let me add to that, that this appears to be another location that is not taking seriously and not the restriction on having a bar type service during this period of the pandemic and the reopening. Places that offer tacit food to try to pretend that they're complying with the rules do two things. Number one, they admit that they know that there's a food requirement. And number two, they adopt a practice that does not follow it and hope that they don't get caught doing so. This location apparently was. And for that reason, we have no confidence that this location can be trusted to follow the restrictions, severe restrictions that are put in place in connection with reopening under the COVID-19, during the COVID-19 pandemic. And a summary suspension is appropriate for places that cannot so be trusted. Thank you.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
Mr. Buckley, is there pending NOP for the June 27 report, or is that just information we have collected but no pending NOP?
Correct. There was no pending notice of pleading for the June 27th date. It will be merged into the notice of pleading under case 146608, which again will be instituted promptly.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Just one regarding the free fries. Councilor Meyerhoff, it's not okay to just give food away if this was really food. Is that correct?
I do not believe we require that the food be purchased.
Okay.
So what
But it
makes
has to
this
be real food, though.
what makes this unlawful is not that the food wasn't purchased. It's that this is not the limited exception to the restriction against alcohol being served is that in a context in which there is a dining experience, we will allow alcohol to accompany food. This place is operating under a pretense that they're following that restriction.
Right. Understood. Thank you.
All right then, Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
Does this licensee have any adverse history other than what you described that's going to be part of this NOP?
No, Chairman Bradley, no adjudicated adverse history.
All right, thank you. That's it.
All right then, with that, I'll call for your votes. Commissioner Fan.
This licensee has committed violations of the governor's executive order by understanding the food requirement, but essentially not following this requirement and allowing a bar type service at his licensed premise. Due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote.
As Councilor Meyerhoff said, the licensee obviously knew that there was a food complement that was necessary for there to be a sale of alcohol, yet they did something that intentionally tried to go around it, to fake complying with it. So I think they clearly knew that what they were doing was wrong, and I vote to summarily suspend.
All right, Chairman Bradley.
I vote to summarily suspend as well. The whole point of the governor's executive order is to create an atmosphere where people are allowed to serve alcohol in connection with a dining experience. This clearly is not that. The food is basically a pretense. As Council Meyerhoff said, they clearly know that food is required, and then they did what they deemed to be the absolute minimum to fulfill that requirement, and it's not even close to fulfilling the requirement. So it's obvious they can't operate under these conditions, which makes them a imminent threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, thank you. Before we proceed any further, it's my understanding council would like a brief recess.
Yeah,
Right,
hold on, Tom. I need to take a recess. Bob, can you please call me? I will send my phone number to both you and Alex to your email, and please call me. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to ask you all then to mute your lines until we resume the meeting.
I'm ready to go back on.
New York is back.
Okay, Commissioner Ford, do we still have you?
Yes, I'm still here.
Great. And Chairman Bradley?
Yes, I'm here.
All right then. Council,
Are we back on?
we are back on, and did you want to proceed with?
Yeah, no, we're gonna withdraw the last case and not present it as a summary. So I think that concludes the summaries we have to present today.
All right, thank you then. Chairman Bradley, that being said, I have no other items on the calendar. Is there anything else you want to raise?
I do not. I just want to thank everybody, including all the attorneys and counsel's office, for their hard work all weekend, and the commissioners and you and your office. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
with that
Chairman.
then, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.